Okay, looking good, looking good. Barrel shroud, looking very cool. It's a fake suppressor look. This is my bunker review on the Radical GForce 12 gauge Bullpup. Looks good at that angle, right? Looking good. Kind of like a really pretty girl. Really pretty woman. So you're saying, yeah, nice hair. Oh yeah, top looks pretty good. We're not getting pervy here. We're just noticing things that look pretty. Right. Okay, we're looking at the GForce. We're like, yeah, that looks good. That's a good looking 12 gauge Bullpup. And then she stands up. What the heck? That is just a 10 round magazine sticking out of that Bullpup. Oh my gosh. Now, I don't know about you. Maybe you look at this and you go, hey, I see nothing wrong with that. That looks just fine to me. It looks to be in proportion, just like my wife. Maybe that's you. And okay, I get you. To me, with a 10 round magazine in this thing, it becomes untenable, unwieldy. The GForce 12 gauge Bullpup. Never mind the weight. The weight without a magazine, get this, without a magazine is 8 pounds, 9 ounces. I had to chuckle. Okay, let's be fair. Back it up. Boop, boop, boop. Back it up a little bit. There's heavy shotguns that I've reviewed and I've liked. And actually like an extended tube shotgun that holds like 9 rounds. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be at least 8 pounds, usually, with current materials and current technology. I get you on that. And bullpups, for whatever reason, do tend to be heavy. Not just 12 gauge variety, 5.56 variety, other calibers. They're always, not always, but usually heavier. Kel-Tec is the one company that's made them a little bit lighter. Not a lot, a little bit lighter. Unless you go with their RDB Survival. That one's pretty darn light. So yeah, this is what I'm going to start off with. I think it looks great. But with that 10 round magazine in, holy crap, dude. I mean, are you going to go around like this, running and gunning? Granted, it does angle away from your chest, but you can't go prone with it. You can't really lower it. I don't know. To me, it's just... Let's go back to what I've said about magazine-fed shotguns in general. And I'm not joking with this. I'm being completely honest. Magazine-fed shotguns in general have the issue of, well, magazine size. You're seeing it right here. In that they're just bigger. If I can get this magazine out. Holy freak, that's tight. But this is going to be heavy. It's going to be, look at this. I wrote the weight on it. Empty. And this is a Pro Mag 10 rounder. I'll talk about how it ran in this gun. And you can see it. I had it for the VR60, so that's what it was labeled for. The VR60 is an AR pattern 12 gauge Turkish built, just like this one. So 17 ounces, basically. We'll call it 16. We'll give it a favor. And then load it up. So how are you going to carry this? I mean, I know a lot of guys are in love with magazine-fed shotguns. I did review the Kalashnikov USA KS12, and that ran very good for me. That is a recommend if you can find it. It has the same problem. It's a magazine-fed shotgun. Granted, there are drum mags readily available for those now, but the protectionists are changing that. So I'm not going to speak to specifics in the law because they're changing so frequently, but it could be very soon that your drum magazines for, I don't know if they're available for the GForce Bullpup, but for like the Sega shotguns, the Kalashnikovs could be gone. They could be illegal. I don't know. Roll that into your pipe and smoke on it a little bit. This is what it looks like with a 5 round magazine, and it does look much better. Size and weight proportionate she is now. She's looking good. But now you're with a 6 round, and I'm counting 1 in the chamber, Bullpup shotgun, y'all. Bullpup shotgun, which weighs, what did I say, 8 pounds, 9 ounces? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if I said without the mag, I'm sorry. That was with this magazine in it. So correction if I misspoke. I want to be fair to this gun. That looks good. I mean, that's a good looking gun. Now, here's the funny thing, and I'll talk about how it's shot. So this is, they call it a barrel cover. It's a barrel shroud. It's meant to look like a fake suppressor. It is an integral part of this Bullpup shotgun. How do I know this? Is it because I read the manual, which, by the way, absolutely sucks? No. Didn't take time to read the manual, which, again, it really sucks. Look at this manual. Like, there's 4 pages of warnings and predictions of injury and death, no doubt, just like all gun manuals do. And there's like 2.5 pages talking about the gun, running the gun, loading it, which is simple. Then this is useful. So here's your field strip right here. You can pause that if you want to know how to field strip your GForce. Doesn't really, I didn't find it. I didn't see anything about break-in, didn't see anything about warranty. It's basic. This is imported by GForce Arms out of Reno, made in Turkey. I do wish them all the best. I do. Doesn't mean I'm going to softball this review, though. And nor did they give me this gun for review. Loan it to me. I got it from Handgun Haven, thanks to them. Handgun Haven had it, and I was like, dude, what is that? He goes, that's a GForce Bullpup. I was like, can I check it out for a review? And I did. Signed out at 4473. Here I am reviewing it. All my testing is complete. So, no, I didn't read the manual, and I didn't really look at the schematic because I just didn't want to spend the time. I actually took this shroud off and thought, well, maybe this is just for looks. And I shot it once. No, not recommended. Probably a warning in there somewhere if I'd read it. It didn't like explode on me, but the gun, this is needed to keep the gun together. Nutnfancy, I'm so glad you didn't get hurt in that episode. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I could tell like it was an integral part at that time. I was like, oh, it wasn't functioning. That's the big clue bird. Once it wasn't functioning, I was like, okay, I need that. And the sucky part was I was already in Wyoming and I didn't bring this with me, so I had to do another outing and another outing with this on. I'll talk about how it's shot, but it's interesting. Philosophy of use on this. Again, I think it's for guys who love being tactical. They like the looks of the Bullpup shotgun, and they like the firepower, at least theoretically, that a 12 gauge shotgun provides. Now, I say theoretically because you do have to have the magazines on you. You have to have a way to carry them. You have to watch out for what I am calling now the squash factor. And I'm not talking about like sitting rapidly on a bicycle seat and squashing your nuts. That does happen, by the way, and you got to be careful with that. That is a squash factor. No, the one I'm talking about is that if you load your 12 gauge magazines up and you leave them for a period of time, they could go oblong on you, and then when you try to shoot it, it does not function. Especially with the cheesy plastic shells of today's shotgun shells. That's if you can find it. So we'll leave it at that. They like the high firepower, and they think, oh yeah, that's cool. But you just gotta understand, dude, you're going with the firepower side of the equation with the GForce Bullpup. You ain't going with mobility. This thing's too heavy, especially loaded. I showed you how ungainly it looks, how out of proportion it looks, with just a 10-round magazine. To be fair, so did the KS-12, so do other shotguns. Well, let me say this. They still have the length of the magazine sticking out, but they're not like right up here by you. They're more out. And so I think that functions better for me, and for balance, it works better for me. Philosophy of use. Home defense. Yeah, I guess. You got some M-lock slots there. You could throw a light on it. It is very short overall length. I think like 38 inches overall length, and that's with the barrel shroud on it. Actually, it could be short. I think it's shorter than that. I'm thinking of the other one, the NK1 that they came out with as well. The NK1 was longer. This one's much shorter. So for inside the house CQB, this is a good option. I mean, you can come around. You don't have a long shotgun sticking out. And do I have one here? Yeah, I do actually. It's probably the Stoeger M3000. Speak of the devil. Yeah, Stoeger M3000. So look at that, the difference. So in terms of mobility and going around confined places, that GForce will dominate this. Unless you do some type of technique where you're tucking it in and you're firing it underneath your arm, which can work, especially if you're close distance or if longer distance, trained and ready for laser aiming. So that's a good thing. So it's more compact, maybe better in a vehicle. Backpacking, no way. Hunting of any kind, for me, no way. And I don't know, I mean, there's a lot of legalities when you hunt, and this is a 5-round magazine. I think you can usually just be 3+1 in a lot of locales. So I don't know how that would work. Without rule of law, yeah, I think a lot of guys would think that. They're like, you know, GForce, you know, it's just, the world's coming to an end. Communist zombies coming to confiscate my 2x4s. They'd be going, yeah, dude. Yeah, that's it for philosophy of use. Features. So let me show you this barrel shroud. I think it's cool, but it's not lightweight. It's made of aluminum, matte black, anodized aluminum. You do have screw and chokes there in the front of the GForce. They do come with a total of 3, an IC, that is an improved cylinder, a modified, and a full. Here's your choke wrench. That's not unusual. Most shotguns do this, even inexpensive ones. Chromed, shot tubes, choke tubes are included, of course. But that's how they attach, and that's what it looks like without the shroud. And the reason why that I took it off initially was for what? Well, where is it? Right here. There you go. What would Nutnfancy do? Nutnfancy would lighten the damn gun. That's what he would do, and that's what he was trying to do by taking that off. That's what. Yeah, what would Nutnfancy do? I lighten everything. Yeah. This one's going to be really hard to lighten because it is a cast, it, to me, appears to be a completely cast metal chassis. Hence the weight. Now, as far as the shape goes of the metal chassis, I don't have any problems with it. Full Picatinny rail on the top. That's good. Trigger guard is big enough. It is somewhat enlarged, teardrop in shape. You have some type of cast-in milling here on the front of the Bullpup, so you can experiment with different holds. It does come with these sights. They're very embossy. They're pretty cool, actually. I think they work fine, and you might want to just run these alone with a shotgun, as I did in testing. They'll work fine, albeit in low light they may have some issues, because if you add an optic, even a red dot, you are adding weight to that almost 9-pound gun. That's with the 5-round magazine again. So these are not locking. As you can see, they're spring loaded, not locking, elevation, windage adjustable, 2 apertures, just like M-Bus. So good sights, actually. I like that. You have a sling attachment point right here you can experiment with. You got a pick rail underneath. You might experiment putting a VG on that. Rubberized handguard right here. You are stuck with it. You can't swap it out as far as I know. I didn't really check it out too closely, but I think I'm seeing if that's interchangeable with an AR. I probably should have looked that up. Guys in comments will know. I don't think anybody would, though. I will say this, as I've always said, I don't like rubber grips. They're just too grabby on cloth. Here's your safety. 90-degree throw. It seems, I'm sorry, a little bit cheesy to me. Kind of airsofty. It's glossy. Looks to be like pop metal, but I had no problems with it. It didn't break off. Being fair here. There's your charging handle. It is reciprocating right here. So you'll use an AK Mini 14 style of battery of arms with your GForce Bullpup. The trigger is atrocious, and I pulled it at 10 pounds, 13 ounces on my Lyman digital scale. That's a bad trigger. I don't know if you can work it. It has that long linkage that Bullpups are famous for. Yeah. Going back up here, by the way, the bore is chrome plated. Going back up here, I don't see any easy way to gas adjust your GForce. Now, I haven't handled in person the NK1. If I have, I don't remember it. And I thought it had a way to adjust for light loads and heavy loads. It would have been nice if the GForce had that option and make it really idiot proof, since I have the gun. And also very clearly labeled, but I don't see anything. And in the horrible instruction manual, I don't see any way to do it. And maybe I missed it. If I did, I'm sorry. I'll get to how it shot, and then we'll see if that was even necessary. Magazines. So these magazines, as you can imagine, as I have talked about and ranted about, these ones are really heavy. You get 2 5-rounders with your GForce Bullpup, dudes. And they're not astronomically heavy. I mean, they're made of steel. They have a polymer follower. I do label them so I don't mix it up with any other magazines I have in inventory when I return the gun. Now, there are other 10-round magazines, not just the Pro Mag that I showed you. They are steel. They're going to be about twice as heavy as this. What do you know? 10 rounds versus 5. They're at a website called IFC. I saw them yesterday for 19 bucks. That is an amazing deal for a 10-round magazine, and they're built by IFC, as far as I know. Okay, let's look at the magazine well. And by the way, the whole chassis is, I think, Cerakoted in flat desert earth, which is a good choice. Look inside. Again, if you have any problems with your Bullpup, and I'll jump ahead, I did. And I didn't say this. There's a model number right there. It's the GForce Bullpup GFY-1. I'm sorry, I should have said that right off the bat. I'm just thinking of the GForce. But if you have any problems, again, coming back here and working in a Bullpup design, especially with squished shotgun shells, as you will see, is problematic. It's doable, but it's just weird. It's a weird battery of arms, and I still mostly do not like Bullpups. I've said that consistently. Sling attachment points right back here. We have a solid rubber butt pad right here. The safety, by the way, is ambidextrous, but the ejection is not switchable, so lefties would probably hate this. No, Jardine did not help me test this. It would eject right into his face. You have ambidextrous magazine release. As you saw, it is somewhat stiff to get the magazine out. There's one actuation. Here's another one. I would be worried that this one right here would snap off under hard use. It doesn't look to be super strong. I could be wrong. This right here was a complete problem in shooting. That is your action release, just like on an AR. And the problem with it is, and I didn't even notice this. So I was shooting the GForce GFI-1 and concentrating on reliability, hit my target, all that other stuff. And then, man, my cheek was hurting. I went to another gun I started shooting, and it was really hurting. And I thought my beard, which I had grown out a little bit, was grabbing in that stock. In those other videos, you'll see me kind of rub like, man, that's weird, because I'm looking at the stock and it's smooth. What had happened, and what will probably happen to you, is this action release is going to smash right into your cheek. This is a huge downside with this gun. I didn't watch anybody else's reviews. I didn't read them, but damn, son. You guys didn't shoot this? And I'm talking about you guys, the designers. You didn't shoot this, or whoever, the distributors. You don't go out and shoot it. I mean, look at where I am. So with a Bullpup, I'm snuggled up to this thing, right? Look at this metal. It's right on my cheek, my fat chipmunk cheek. Boom, boom. So you might even see the mark still. It was bad. Yeah, that alone, boys, is show-stopping. That alone, no matter what else, yeah, not good. That's features, more or less. You do have a shroud over your ejection port. The quality seems, other than these items that I pointed out, seems good. I wouldn't say outstanding, but good. How did it shoot? Well, it shot so poorly initially that I was going to discontinue my test. And I was like, oh man, I can't get this thing to run for anything. And I'll show you a video of that. And the magazine I was using, actually it wasn't just a single magazine. I had 3 of them. Come on, get in there. Was this Pro Mag. Now, there might be some slight differences in this magazine versus the OEM mag. I have held them and compared them. They look almost identical. Actually, they do look identical on everything. They fit. The problem was, with this magazine, it would not run. And this was a leftover from VR60. Now, maybe some guys furiously type and go, well, you should use OEM magazines. And to that person, I would say, well, you know, technically you're right. You're right. So I'm going to give it a pass on that. But I didn't want to go out and buy some of those, what were the IFC 10-round magazines, wait for them to get shipped, have a lot of guns going through testing, I'm time constrained, and actually energy and interest restrained, because sometimes those are in short supply. So I was like, wow, I can't believe they don't run. I mean, these ran great in a VR60, which is a pretty inexpensive AR pattern 12-gauge shotgun. And as you can see, they look like they're about the same, do they not? The one thing you have is a difference in follower, right? Slanted versus not slanted. But that is that. And so I said, well, let me go back to the OEM magazines. And when I ran the OEM magazines, big surprise, it was, I think, 100%, which is a big kudo to the GForce. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Round of applause for the GForce GFY-1. With the OEM magazines, of which you get 2, ran great. Light loads. I used heavy pheasant loads. I used buckshot loads. I didn't think the recoil was unmanageable, other than that chunk of metal tearing the flesh away from my body. Other than that, it was fine. Yeah. So if you get a GForce and you have magazines that are patterned similarly to the OEM magazines like this, you might want to just write those off. They're not going to work probably. You're going to have to go and buy, no kidding, GForce GFY mags to make them work. So there's an additional cost, albeit they're inexpensive at $19 a piece. That's not bad at all. You could go out and buy 8 of them. The problem is, we'll get back to my intro, is that with a 5-round magazine, you're looking at a 6-round shotgun, and that's if, and it's a big if, you charged the chamber up first, which you probably won't. So on a reload, you're going to come over here offside, charge it. Now you're a 5-round shotgun. How cool is it now? 5-round shotgun. No. And if you have the 10-round magazines, which they do have, I mentioned them, talked about them, you got this whole thing again. You got the big butt concept going on here. Is it going to work? Well, reliability again with these magazines was good, and I'm going to give it credit. Would I buy a GForce Arms GFY-1? You know the answer. No way, dude. For a lot of reasons. It's just too darn heavy. I don't like that I'm locked into using this stupid barrel shroud. I don't have a problem with the barrel length at all. I don't have a problem with the overall length or the looks. But yeah, it's extra weight. I don't like this. It's all metal. So I shot it in the summertime. In the wintertime with this cold metal, I can't imagine putting my cheek on there and it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit outside. No, thank you. Then I've got this. I've talked about this at length. Tearing into my cheek. I think the magazine insertion and extraction is ungainly. I think it's awkward and I'm not good at it. I think the trigger's awful. I like the sights that they put on it. I like the coloration. I like its looks with a 5-round magazine. No, I wouldn't buy it. Competitive options. Well, honestly, I don't really know another offhand 12-gauge Bullpup shotgun. Go back into my playlist and just look at my other reviews of 12-gauge shotguns. So going to BoobTube, type in Nutnfancy. I'm not going to list them below. Nutnfancy 12-gauge or Nutnfancy shotgun review, and you'll see them come up. And I have a playlist on my A channel, and that playlist should be populated and always kept up to date. Right up to the point that they cancel me and boot me out of YouTube, which brings up the point you need to sub to me in YouTube, please, thank you. Website there is improving every day. Yeah, would I buy this one? And I keep talking about this one. It's also Turkish produced. This is by the company Stoger, Go watch my M3000 review. Dude, I'd buy this way, way before I would buy a GForce Bullpup. What's the weight on this? 6 pounds, 14 ounces with the sights you see. And I think it is 7 plus 1. It is 7 plus 1. Not, not rapidly inserting a magazine, but I don't have all the other problems. I think what you're going to see with guys that run magazine-fed shotguns, and they really run them. They just don't buy them and put them under their bed and never shoot them and just stay in the forum world and talking about how much they love their magazine-fed shotgun. If you actually run them, compete with them, shoot recreationally with them, train with them, I think you'll be going back to the tube-fed shotgun just for its simplicity. And just practice your reload. Just practice. And also, a tube-fed shotgun is very slim. Look how slim this is. We don't have any magazines protruding. This is very svelte right here, dudes. Now, there's certain magazine-fed shotguns like that KS-12 that I've liked. I have liked them. I mean, they're highly recommended as long as you can take the downsides of a tube-fed shotgun. I'm sorry, a magazine-fed shotgun. Yeah, it looks cool. It looks really cool. Let me know and comment if you have a GForce Bullpup and if after this review you're getting ready to sell it. You probably will. Or if I'm completely off base and you go, yeah, I know it's heavy, but it's 100% reliable with everything I've tried and I'm using it in this certain philosophy of use. If you do that, I completely understand. I get it. I'm just saying, would I do it? The answer is no. Thank you so much for subbing. Hit that notification bell. Sub wherever I post this video, please. Become a donor. Currently still using Patreon. And be a long-term donor. That is for the rest of your life. That's right. I only charge 6 creations a month, so you don't even have to limit it. I have no tier levels, so I don't have like a $1 a creation or $5, $10 per creation. I don't do that. Most guys are doing $5 a creation. A lot do $1 a creation. So that means if you do that, it would be $6 a month. $6 a month to support me in my work, my independent voice, in doing what I do. Supporting freedom. Yeah, watch my political videos in YouTube. I'm posting a couple 2x4 videos on the B channel. They're pretty funny. Read between the lines. There's great messages there. Thank you so much. We're done. See you next video.